Bill, this is Bath, Ohio, Jeff Dahmer's childhood home. It's the kind of place where Lionel Dahmer thought he could give his son a healthy upbringing. Jeff's father and stepmother have not spoken with television reporters before. They say they will not do it again. But they decided to come forward because they feel other people have painted a distorted picture of Jeff. So how did the boy they know and love become a vicious mass murderer? They, too, are searching for answers. When you look at him, do you see your boy? Do you see your baby, your child?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see a monster?
No. The first picture I see of Jeff always is when I was going to graduate school, and he would come thundering through the house when Grandma and Grandpa would arrive, and he'd holler, "Grabba, grabba." And those are the types of images I have imprinted in my mental camera.
What we have seen is a very different Jeff Dahmer. He is a man who has confessed to some of the most brutal crimes imaginable: kidnapping, torture, murder, and worse. At his Milwaukee apartment, police made a gruesome discovery. Jeff saved pieces of some of his victims' bodies.
Under most conditions, he acts polite, kind, courteous. I mean, I'm imagining in my mind those occasions when he attacked the victims. That was a monster who was out of control.
Until the day Jeff was arrested, Lionel and Sherry Dahmer lived an enviable life. They are both successful executives. They live in a beautiful home and belong to a local tennis club. In an instant, their world was shattered. In their first television interview, Jeff's father and stepmother wanted to talk separately. They were afraid if they cried together, they would fall apart. Lionel and Sherry say that while they were shocked and horrified by the deeds that Jeff confessed to doing, they won't abandon him. He is still their son. When you saw Jeff in prison for the first time after his arrest, what did you say to him?
We didn't say anything at first. We were shaking, crying for about 2 minutes. I told him that I did not believe he was that sick. However, I still loved him, and that I supported him. He's my first son.
And Lionel asked that he not commit suicide. Made him promise. Most of what we know about Jeff Dahmer we have learned from old friends and acquaintances. They painted a portrait of a troubled kid, a loner with an odd fascination for dead animals, a kid who didn't fit in. Jeff's father says that is a distorted image. Who is Jeff?
I thought I knew him as a shy boy.
Was there anything you saw in your child that made you think he could grow up to be this kind of man?
No. I did not think in my wildest dreams that he was capable of doing that.
Lionel Dahmer seems almost haunted by what his son says he has done. He is also angry, yet he will not turn his back on the child he raised, the boy he thought he knew. It would be very easy for anyone to walk away from their son under these circumstances.
I feel very great responsibility. In retrospect, I wish that I had done more in terms of keeping track of what he's doing.
You feel guilty?
I feel guilty that I didn't do more. I feel a deep sense of shame.
What's going through your mind right now?
Very sad. See, when I dissociate myself from this, I can do okay. When I let myself go, I can't. It's going to get worse when I'm 75.
For now, Lionel Dahmer looks at the past and tries to understand the present. Jeff Dahmer spent most of his life on this quiet, tree-lined street in Bath, Ohio. Lionel was a chemist who taught his son to play tennis and helped with his 4-H club projects. But the family split apart when Jeff was 18. Lionel doesn't want to get into the specifics, but he does say a court order kept him away from the house. But one day, when he drove down the street, he saw the lights on and learned that his wife had left too. She took their youngest son and left Jeff behind.
When I arrived at the house, Jeff greeted me at the door, and the place was a mess. There was no food in the refrigerator, and he looked like a lost soul.
It is at that time that Jeff says he killed the first of his 17 victims.
He told the police that after you were kicked out of the house, and then his mother left him alone, that was the first time he thought about killing people.
I just could hardly believe it, that he could have done it at that early of an age. It's unbelievable. I didn't think he was capable of doing that to a human being.
Less than 8 months before he was caught, the Dahmers went to visit Jeff's Milwaukee apartment, where photographs of the victims and parts of their bodies were later found. The Dahmers saw no signs of anything.
Last Thanksgiving, he wanted to show us his apartment. When we went to the apartment, it was meticulously neat. Did everything look normal to you? I even said to him, Jeff, you're keeping a beautiful house. It was clean. It was spotless. It was neat. There was nothing there.
Jeff's mother, Joyce Flint, is reportedly in hiding. Lionel says some of the answers may rest with her and what she suffered during Jeff's childhood.
His mother did have a history of mental illness.
Yes, it definitely has to have affected him. I'll say that.
What has to have affected him?
The long history of mental illness.
Did he ever talk to you about his feelings about anything? Did he ever tell you, Dad, I'm lonely?
No.
Did he ever say, Dad,
No.
I need you?
No, he did not. He didn't. He just glossed over things. I think he was very lonely.
There were reports that Lionel Dahmer once said his son was sexually abused by a neighbor. Lionel told me he has no knowledge of that. Some have tried to look for clues in the sexual component of Jeff's crimes. Jeff Dahmer says he picked up many of his victims in gay bars. He often offered the money to pose nude for him.
Did he ever talk about his feelings about homosexuals? No, absolutely not. But Jeff would never discuss his inner feelings. Never. Did you think that was odd? I accepted it because I knew it was Jeff. You never saw a change in him, even after he was a teenager and says he killed his first man.
I couldn't perceive a real distinct change of any kind, but I did see a gradual deterioration with respect to alcoholism.
But Lionel knew there were other serious problems as well. There were run-ins with the law. Lionel bailed his son out of jail when Jeff was arrested for indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, and fondling a 13-year-old boy. Lionel says he knew he had to do something. He tried to get his son help. He took him to 2 different counseling programs. He even visited Jeff's therapist himself, all to no avail.
Each time you got him out of trouble, and each time you talked to him after he had been arrested, did he talk to you about what he had done?
He was so embarrassed at each incident, he could just hardly say anything.
Are you relieved that he confessed, or do you wish that he hadn't?
Oh, I'm very relieved that he confessed, and I think, and I know that he is very relieved.
One of the most painful things Lionel and Sherry have had to face is the reports of the details on television and in the newspapers. And seeing the victims' faces, knowing their family's loss, is almost too much to bear.
I think of all the grieved families, those I can hardly look at the newscast of the mothers and the fathers and families of those victims, and I pray for them. That's all I can do right now.
Do you forgive your son?
That's a tough question. It's only up to God to forgive. I really cannot say that I can forgive him. I hold him responsible in his psychotic state.